They already presented findings. This was the draft document because they didn't have a document for us, if you remember last time in March. So they got us this, it's their draft, but they presented all of their findings at that meeting. So this is just to make sure that you're comfortable with it. You accepted it, and I'll sign off on it.
I've got a couple of questions for that. No. It's just detail.
Ask me at budget policies.
Yeah. No, I've got to find something.
Of course, yeah. Like me. Always have to ask questions. This is one of the most ambitious agendas
Yes.
I've ever worked on.
Ever.
5 months. Well, most of them are just informational authorizations. So it looks a little more daunting than it really is. I had to question whether I need to put it in there or not. I felt, if someone like Nick was going that was the lighter of the two, because that was the EEI one. The longer one was the 96 page, 95 page audit. I told Patrice to put that together for me. I don't know.
All right. I just told Ann to send her upstairs. So, we are late, folks. It's 5:05. We have Steve on. So, I do not know.
I'm here.
Missy emailed me, she had a family issue and did not think, wasn't sure she'd make it, but she wanted to let me know that. I have not heard from Judd. So, I'd like to call the Patricia A. Hannaford Regional Technical School District Board to order. It is now 5:06 p.m. I apologize for being late. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please? So moved. And seconded to approve the agenda as written. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. Do we have any comments from visitors?
Suzanne, you might want to explain the webinar format.
Okay. So for folks that are online, we're still on Zoom, but this is a webinar format. So there are people that are invited as panelists, which are board members and our staff. If you wish to speak, you need to raise your hand. And we will then acknowledge you and bring you over so that you can speak, and then you put back again.
Just like joining us and Eric's
Okay. So before we go to public comment, we'll do introductions. Start in the room.
Nick Colson, representing ACSD, living in Shore.
Hugh Farnham from New Haven. I'm the community large member from Mount Abraham School District. Steve Warzak, representing ACSD.
Hi, I'm Christine Kaplan. I live in Ferrisburg, and I'm the Addison West School District rep.
Suzanne Buck, ACSD rep and chair. Online we have Steve.
Steve Rennie in Starksboro, representing Nye Unified School District.
Judd.
Judd Markowski, resident in Bridgeport, with member, and sorry that I'm not there in person. One of my kids has some ailments, so I'm staying away from people.
Thank you. And for administrators in the room,
Dana Peterson, Superintendent Director, Patricia Hannaford,
Jay.
Sorry. Jay Stubbs, Assistant Director.
And then we have three guests/staff in the room, and they introduce themselves. Starting with Mike.
Mike Adams, I'm a special needs coordinator here at the Career Center.
Education support personnel here.
Nick Keener, construction technology instructor at the Career Center.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go to public comment. And then someone had ended up. Eric?
Hello. Hey, good evening.
Good evening. We
Oh,
can't see
okay,
you.
y'all can hear me, yes?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
You're not missing anything. So, I'd just like to say thanks for allowing me to speak. The last time I had the chance to speak to the board as a whole was last year when I approached you with the idea of starting up a pre-tech technical theater program for ART. That effort was denied by the state, and during conversations with officials at AOE, we were told that the state was potentially moving to remove programs like ART from this realm of CTE. In March, the faculty was given a comprehensive local needs assessment for each program to fill out to meet the requirements of the Perkins 5 legislation, I believe. When we were given the CLNAs, 3 of the programs at the center, ART included, were listed as either not or maybe meeting federal requirements. The other 2 programs were culinary and the graphic design and illustration programs. This has been a source of stress for the faculty, but I would like to say thank you to Dana, to Jay, and to Lynn Schmidt for their help in addressing some of the deficiencies that AOE has found in these programs. I'm kind of just coming to the board tonight because I'm asking for your help in ensuring that this is a fair system of evaluation for our programs. 3 of the programs, as I mentioned, seem to be prejudged by AOE, which seems to give an unfair feel to the whole process. I would welcome the board's support in ensuring that local boards and schools are allowed to exercise choice rather than state stepping in to tell which programs may or may not be offered if those programs do in fact meet the legislative requirements of Perkins. And I would also like to invite the board members, all of you please, stop by ART, stop by any of our programs to see what we're doing in the school, to see for those programs that seem to be not up to par with Perkins legislation, to see what steps we are taking to remediate that, and to talk with us what we have planned for the future. Thanks so much for giving me a chance to speak tonight.
Thank you, Eric. Brenda? Has her hand up?
Brenda, you're,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm Brenda Lote, the school counseling coordinator at the Career Center, and I just have a couple of comments about the job posting for the superintendent director position. I just wanted to share that when I tried to find it on SchoolSpring, I set the parameters as Vermont, administrative, and full-time. I just wanted to see if it was there, and I couldn't find it anywhere. It's very difficult to find. It doesn't show up just putting in the state of Vermont, all administrative, educational jobs, and full-time. Others have told me they've had the same problem, so that may hamper, people applying. I also noticed that the search consultant is out of the Midwest, and I know that Vermont model of career technical education is very different from the Midwest, so I just wanted to bring that to attention. And since the ad itself does not mention career technical education, I'm just wondering how the Career Center staff might be able to help the consultant to develop questions for the interview process, just to ensure the candidate is experienced and knowledgeable in career and tech ed. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. So, Jay, after this program, you can get back over to.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yep.
Is there anybody? Oh, hi Lisa. I was like, you were not there. So, Tiffany, would you like to introduce yourself, and then I'll let Lisa introduce herself?
Sure. Hello everyone, my name is Tiffany Love. I'll show you my full face. You'll know what I really look like. I'm the ABT Chief Nursing Officer for Porter, and happy to help serve you more.
Lisa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Rader, I'm Design and Administration Visual Communications Coach.
Thank you. Is there anybody, Lisa, Mike, Amanda, folks want to speak during public comment, or are you good to go for now? Okay. All right. Dana, correspondence?
The only thing we have is the donation for $250 from Pike District, which we have on the action agenda.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, so, since we approved the agenda, we don't have any changes to the consent agenda as part of it. Are we all set with the minutes from March 10th and March 24th? I don't hear any negatives, so we're okay. Nick, would you do the reading of the accounts payable, please, for March?
Yep. So this is the expenditures for March month. General fund, $106,807. Revolving fund, $4,578. Student activities, $3,317. Two payrolls, one for $81,055.69, and the second one is for $85,390.59. That's it. Mainly approved by Suzanne and myself.
Thank you. We now have a presentation called Inclusive Ed Project presentation. And it's Mike Gatman, Amanda Payne, Nick Cantrick. Is Gretchen joining us online or not at all?
She can't make it.
Okay. And Dana.
Put it in replacement. Okay.
All right, so I don't know if you'd like to come to the front. I will tell you that if you wander around, it may be very difficult for MCTV, so come and kind of stand. Then they're good.
We'll stand here, how's that?
Maybe I should move that.
Okay, so this evening's presentation is called the Inclusive Education Project. And it involves a specialist from Katie Novak, and in fact it's Katie Novak herself, who has been doing a lot of work in UDL, which is Universal Design for Learning. And so we'll go to the first slide, and the genesis of this project is Act 173. Which was adopted by the Vermont legislature back in 2018. What it is an act to re-examine how services are delivered to students throughout schools in Vermont, and it basically relates to special ed. But it's also strengthening the regular ed system so that students would have less of a need for specialized instruction if possible. That's what it is, and why it's important is to provide equity for all students, regardless of identification, so that they can all be successful. And through this, all schools are required to bolster their multi-tiered system of supports. We here have a fine group led by Mike and his team of student support personnel that provide services and supports to any and all students, but particularly those who are on PAVs. And the focus of this work is on equity of services, so that all get what they need in order to be successful. Jay, move that on to a second. So the purpose is to enhance the effectiveness and availability and equity of services provided to all students who require any type of support, but particularly additional support. The objective, according to AOE, is for each school to administer assessments of student performance using methods developed by the State Board of Education. For us, that is now identified as WorkKeys. As most of you may know, our colleagues in general ed administer the SBAC, Comprehensive Assessment System in English Language Arts, in math, and in science to all secondary students. Previously, career centers were judged on their performance based on scores from those SBAC assessments, and they were not necessarily related to career and technical ed. Now we have our own WorkKeys assessment. So the genesis, is that me or is it somebody else?
I think this is me.
Oh, great.
So we were actually invited and supported in our participation from some sending schools, Virgins Union High School and Mount Abe. They are also taking this training, as well as a bunch of other schools from around the state. And so basically, Novak Consulting, Katie Novak, they are providing us with training, resources and materials that we can bring to our school, teach the faculty, help organize our supports, take what we learn from there and implement it in our school. The trainings are focused on differentiated instruction. That's tailoring instruction to meet individual needs. So that's very classroom-based, universal design for learning, UDL. That's an educational approach that emphasizes flexibility for students to demonstrate how they're learning, how they access learning, and to kind of provide various ways for students to engage with instruction rather than just one path, trying to vary the paths. Basically what we are doing now is the team right here and Gretchen Cotel are meeting once a month over Zoom with Katie Novak and all the schools in the Vermont cohort or our cohort. And we go through trainings. We had a big day-long training in September. We're going to have a big day-long training in May to open and cap the monthly trainings that we've been having. We're gathering information, resources, seeing what's relevant for our school as a team, and then we're kind of organizing our next steps, what we want to take and bring to the faculty.
All right, so next up is committee goals, and so the first one is to make learning more accessible to all students. Acquire and utilize resources that support that effort, so that's kind of what we're working on now.
I'll jump in on that one. So something I just want to bring to the attention of folks. I want to take a step back for a minute, take a macro view for a second. One common ground that we have here at the Career Center is from administration through program instructors, through support personnel, is we have I guess, hyper or keen awareness around the fact that moms and dads are entrusting us with their sons and daughters. And it's incumbent upon us to do the best we can to help every student achieve to the maximum of their abilities. So one challenge that we've had is we oftentimes have a broad range of abilities within a given class setting. We have some students that are perhaps able to move through some of the curricular content more quickly, others that need a little more time, and what you can end up with is students that are in different places at different times in the same classroom. And as I have worked with different program instructors from across the center, one of the parts of my responsibilities that I'm grateful for is I get to work with a wide range, almost every program instructor. And a common thread that has been coming up over and over again for years is how do I address the challenge of having students in different places in the same classroom and yet having them engaging in content that is maximizing both potentials even if they're different places. It's been a challenge. So the acquiring and utilizing resources that support that effort has been a challenge. I'm going to let Amanda read the next bullet point, and then I've got something else I want to share with you.
So we are trying to provide program instructors with a toolbox to help differentiate instruction.
Okay, and I'll speak a bit more to that. So after this became apparent to me that there's this need, I started asking colleagues from around the state. I started asking student services directors, special educators. We have a monthly meeting, or monthly quarterly meeting of career and technical special educators from around the state. I've been asking people, do you know somebody that we could bring in to work with our faculty and staff around this idea of differentiated instruction? To my surprise, no one really has had a recommendation. It was hard to come up with someone that could provide that expertise in the way that we're talking about right now, until Katie Novak came along and her team and our involvement with this Inclusive Education Project. So we're really excited about this. This is something that is going to fill a need that we have been seeking a solution to for a long time. So I'm grateful to the folks that brought Katie back in. I'm grateful to Dana for getting us involved in this. I'm grateful to the team members that are working on this initiative, and I really am encouraged that I believe our program instructors will be better equipped, and we in the supportive things will be better equipped, going back to the macro piece, to do the best we can by the sons and daughters of moms and dads are entrusted with SWEP, which is to me paramount. So anyway.
And then our last goal is just to have access to the outside expertise with regard to differentiation.
And just one other thing I can speak to around that. So Dana has committed through the rest of this school year to dedicating some of our professional development time in the form of PLC time, in the form of early release time, and maybe even some of our professional development time to move forward with some of these things we're talking about. Dana has also expressed a willingness to continue on with this into the fall, as it would be beneficial. We'll have to see how that piece works out in the fall, depending upon how the leadership piece works out, but at least through this year, we are moving forward with this plan, and we have gained some really valuable tools through our involvement with the Inclusive Education Project to date. We're just starting to unpack it. There's a lot there, but we think it's going to do a lot of good. So maybe we'll take it. Do you want it?
Well, so Gretchen, our diesel technology instructor who couldn't make it today, has tried out in her classroom a couple of the techniques and strategies. She used this rubric, the EL implementation rubric is kind of, it's a rubric for us teachers to see where we land on how we're implementing, how well we're implementing UDL in our classrooms. And
you can click on it. Yeah, go ahead. Give them an overview of what's
so that we can kind of assess ourselves, see where we are on the scale, and see where we can work and move towards. So that's an example of a resource that we've been exposed to, and that we're kind of seeing where we can, how we can bring that to our classrooms and our instructors.
And it's a self-assessment rubric, so that each instructor can take a look at that and decide where they are and what they want to do to move forward in terms of moving from left to right. And so that can be used as a connection with the students who are sometimes self-assessing with respect to programs, how they're meeting the standards, and so it can show that the teachers themselves are actually working on development. Thanks, Shane.
And so Gretchen provided an assignment with multiple pathways to demonstrate learning and assessment, and she kind of was able to gather feedback on what worked with her class. Too much was too much for most of my students. She was taking that feedback for next year. I'm going to have to redesign this lesson. And so this is kind of an example of the goal of this learning and how we bring UDL into the classroom.
And I want to put a shout out to Gretchen. She put herself out there and she made herself vulnerable, and she realized that she was struggling with some of her students understanding tasks and being able to complete it to a high degree. And so she and Elisa Rickdale, who often works in the program, sat down and they took a look at what they were asking the students to do, and they found out that they were giving the students too much choice. So it's good to have choice. Sometimes you have too much choice and be paralyzed. So they pared it down, and they went ahead and gave a couple of exemplars. And then the students were able to choose. And lo and behold, the students were able to pick what met their learning style, and they were able to complete the class. And so she was really gratified, and the whole team was really pleased to hear that Gretchen had done this. What was really fascinating to me is I think our last session talked just about that, and Gretchen had done it before we actually had that session, where Katie Novak came in and said, you don't want to provide cognitive overload, and you want to be able to have enough options, not too many options, so that the students can actually put themselves into an own process. So we were excited, or at least I was, that our team had actually tried that before we were using that as part of our tour. So I want to just give kudos to the entire team for their exploration, their inquisitiveness, and their commitment to students. So thank you all for being part of this team. I think that's the end of our. Yeah. Questions? Go ahead.
So that was an example of something in the toolbox. Could you give us another example of what's in this toolkit that's new, different?
We have 10. Yeah, there are 10. We haven't explored all of them, but there are 10 different tools in the toolkit, and. This is one that was further on down the line. We decided ourselves that Gretchen wanted to try something, so we did that. Some of the other things that are in the toolkit include, I'm trying to do this off the top of my head now, but there was a visual organizer, if I remember correctly, so that the students could see things in a format. Another recommendation was to declutter pages so that students could focus on the essential work. There was a time constraint one, and I can't remember exactly what that was, but do you remember? I know all I remember is when we were doing the presentation that we had the timer up there, and it's time bound, so that you're making sure that the students have enough time, think, I'm making this up now, so that they have enough time, not too much time to be able to be productive. I think another one had to do with how the students could, unless I'm crossing over into my other training, how the students could share information and share lines. But that may be my other training.
The idea behind this toolkit and some of the other aspects of what this year-long effort has entailed is the goal is for when a program instructor is working with students, it doesn't have to be a student that's been formally identified with a barrier to learning. It could be a student with some tendency or some this doesn't qualify as an area of disability, but for that program instructor to have tools like Dana was just speaking about at their disposal to help move the student past what might be inhibiting them achieving at the level they're really capable of achieving at. So that's really, the goal is to just equip program instructors with added tools and strategies to reach all students. Yes.
So within this program, is there also a way for instructors to say to another instructor, hey, I'm struggling with X, Y, or Z, would you mind coming in and just writing down everything you see, and then we can sit down and go over it and say, oh, I wanted him to do this, but I forgot to give him a step. So as a way of professional development between instructors helping each other out?
It encourages collaboration.
It does, and just, you're hitting something very important, Suzanne, and I'll just speak to that for a moment. Dating back to many years ago when I first entered education, one of the schools, I worked at a school for students with learning disabilities, and one of the foundational pieces, this is 32 years ago, I hate to say, 32 years ago, one of the foundational pieces back then was the school set aside Tuesday afternoons for program instructors, not program, for teachers, to collaborate and to talk about problems they were coming across in the classroom and to collaboratively brainstorm ways to better serve the students that were of issue. Through the years, that has been a key component to what I have seen some of the best educational practice. And dating back even to years here at the Career Center, there was a time where it was promoted and encouraged that program instructors could go watch another colleague teaching a class or have someone come into their class, and coverage was provided so that the teacher could be free to do that, to encourage exactly what you're talking about. What you're talking about, I believe, is a critically important and helpful way to go about trying to improve practice.
And that I think was already reflected in the collaboration between Rich and Elise.
Agreed.
They were actually sitting down together.
Agreed. Absolutely.
The other thing, I'm not sure it's actually characterized as one of the toolkits, but it's the image, and maybe Nick, you want to say a little bit about the skiing.
Oh, sure.
Because I know that resonated with you and how that could be applicable to our folks.
Yeah, one of the analogies, we were given a graphic of a ski mountain. We all take the chairlift up, and then there's different difficulty levels to get back down. But we all want to get back down to base lodge at some point, so we might take greens or blues or double black diamonds. So we need to kind of meet the students where they're at, challenge them where it's level appropriate for them. So every student, we want to get everybody back down to base lodge, and there's different pathways to get there. That was a really helpful analogy to me that I can use in my classroom. You know, and really focus on.
You gotta always watch out for the kids that do the double diamond just because they want to get the most runs in. So it's not because that's the best learning.
You might want to focus on technique.
Sometimes we all go down bunny hill.
Any other questions, board?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, we're gonna move into the action part of our agenda. First piece is so exciting. We get to meet and vote on a brand new WIB member.
It's been a long time.
So Tiffany, you kind of introduced yourself. Would you like to say anything else about yourself?
Sure. So I am born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and when I joined the Department of Veterans Affairs is when I started to relocate to cities all around the country. So I have worked in a unionized environment within the federal government for 8 years, so I'm very familiar with that relationship. It's important to have an administration working closely with our bargaining members. I have been in healthcare executive leadership roles for just around 10 years. And I have the benefit of having lived and worked in very different cultures from the East Coast to the West. And I think that it offers me the diversity of thought to really be thoughtful about the culture where I'm working, the people, the community. I like to be involved in the community. And since July, I have been very involved in the community, and I very much want to support this board.
So the can you guys hear me online? Okay.
Just leave me.
Thanks, John. I get the point.
Yes, there's no problem with the audio.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
So Tiffany comes to us through the workforce board, which is the same place where Judd comes to us through. So Tiffany presented her letter of interest and her resume. And when your resume came up at our executive board meeting, they all said, "Oh my goodness, she has more initials after her name. We don't know what to do with it." So she was interviewed by Jennifer, and Stefani, and Fred. Ken. Well, two. Fred Kenny. Yes. And so she comes to us with their recommendation, but it is up to us to take their recommendation and move it forward. So I need a motion from someone here or online to move Dr. Tiffany Love forward as a board member.
Getting faster. I would actually make the motion, not to say so.
So it was by Kim and seconded by Judd to accept Dr. Tiffany Love as our newest WIP representative. And is there any discussion on the motion? I don't see anything online. I don't see anybody here. So we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your Zoom hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Welcome. All right. Next item of business, donation $250 Pike Industries to Diesel for Skills USA. And
I can give a little background on that.
Yep.
Pike Industries has supported the diesel program in the state of Vermont for some time. And they wanted to make a donation to each one of the diesel programs at the tune of $250. We have here the request to take action on that generous donation, and that will help support the diesel students as they go down to Massachusetts to compete right after the April break. So that will help them with their travel. So we're very grateful for Pike for this support.
Great. Any questions?
Is that a regional level?
No, it's the state level right now. They're being supported. It just happens that this year, it was not going to be a competition in Vermont, so they are going outside and competing. But I believe they'll still be divided up by state. It was something that they had worked on. They couldn't find venues or something for this year.
Well, Skills USA does take many venues to accomplish it. Any questions from folks online? No. Okay.
The only other thing I had on their scholarship, that will have to come to the next meeting that we have. We didn't have the information, so I put that on there, but that will be postponed to future.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept the $250 donation from Pike Industries to support Diesel Skills USA?
So moved.
It was moved by Steve Orszag and seconded by Mike Costin to accept the $250 donation from Pike Industries for Diesel for Skills USA. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. Policy 2.3, financial condition. It's a monitoring policy, and Dana, I'm thinking that's you?
It is. I have to find it.
Yeah, there was a lot.
I realize it's not in order, but so pardon me while I find it all of my things. There we go. So this is a regular monitoring policy, and I'm reporting on financial condition as of March 31st. The numbers you have there We have expended $2,164,000 for 11. Of the water budget of $2,829,301. When we factor in any encumbrances amounting to $975,461, we have a remaining balance of $389,008, and that is very much in line with our previous balances. The only difference is that we have a few more encumbrances we've been trying to encumber. So some of that will be released and that actual fund balance may rise, although we just had payroll and accounts payable, those are not included in here, so that's also going to contribute to the fluctuation. Yes.
I just asked if Jay could zoom that page up to fill the screen.
Yes.
I mean, I have it separate here, but other folks might want to be able to read it. That's great, thank you.
Thanks, Steve. The second is that we have not incurred any debt activities since paying down line of credit back in December. The third, long-term reserves have only been used for expenses assigned to be paid from the Building Equipment Reserve Fund, or BERF. And the balance of BERF as of the end of March is $7,064. We have $85,600 transferred this fiscal year to date from the general fund as of March 31st to the Health Reserve Fund to cover HRA expenses, and another $6,400 was transferred in December for HSA funding for calendar year 2022. So total transfers between HRA and HSA, $92,000. We will not fail to settle payroll debts in a timely manner. Payroll and related debts have all been paid on a timely period. And our largest tax payments are made by the District of Federal and State Holdings, and they are made every 2 weeks, and no payments are voted. Number 7, we will not make a single purchase or make a grade by $5,000 in BERF, and splitting orders to allow that to happen is not acceptable. $41.95.43 was expended from BERF during the reporting period, that's from January 1st through March 31st. And all of those costs have been reimbursed. Those costs were a result, if you remember, of the water damage that happened back around Christmas time. And we had to have those insurances cover that, and so the BERF floated the loan, and all of that money has been made. There has been no activity during the reporting period to acquire and encumber those property. And finally, we're in the process of requisitioning additional grants, including a gear grant per Perkins FY22 allocations. We also have additional time grant money, technology, innovation, and equipment, and those funds will be requesting before the end of our reporting period. So we have purchased things with those grant funds, they all come as reimbursements, so we pay it out of general fund expenses, and then we get reimbursed for all of those. We had a report at the March board meeting, and those have not changed. Perkins gear reimbursements are the same. That $147,000 is no change. We may have one report at a future meeting because we have submitted for an additional grant, federal Perkins grant of approximately $20 million.
Are there any questions, Jamie? Focus on the screen bigger.
I can, if I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, all right, it's just that. Sorry guys, if you raise your hand, I might not see you because you're very small. Kim? Do you have an update on the hiring of the
I can talk about that later, but thank you.
Any other questions, Steve or Judd? Nope. Anybody else? Seeing there are no other hands raised for questions, may I have a motion to approve policy 2.3, which is the financial conditions and activities? Moved by Nick. Seconded by Kim. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye, or
Aye.
any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. The final audit.
Okay, you all have the full draft audit in your board packet. And some of them have hard copies. Just really like that is the same audit that was presented back, I believe, in February. Not much has changed. The facts and figures are the same. They were waiting for sending it to us for our review to get one final account examined. It was not on our radar screen until late in the fall. So the information you have in there is the status of the financial situation for the Career Center at this moment in time. And as I remember from the previous presentation, I think that we are looking at a fund balance of possibly $200,000.
Were there any findings that we need to?
No, not this time.
Okay.
They didn't send a minute memorandum.
They did, but they reported on back.
They did it in January.
Okay.
There's no change.
No change.
Dana,
Yes.
if someone was looking for that fund balance, where would that be located in the audit? When I was looking at schedule, the closest I could find was Schedule 1. That seemed to have a figure that was.
Let me, if I find it really quickly, Steve, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Page 13.
Okay.
And 17.
Yeah, there's several.
And there's a detail further back. It's detailed in about 4 separate.
Yeah, it's broken up. 13 and 17 sound right, based on my recollection.
The next audit right away, or?
Yes, the next audit, they'll be doing pre-audit requests probably in a month or so. And we'll be working on putting some of those things together in June, maybe a couple of days in June. And then they will hopefully come in September and do the comprehensive audit. It was scheduled last year, but we had some hiccups that required postponement.
Did you find a page for Steve?
I'm still looking because we have the PDF numbers, and then we have the numbers in the document, and I'm trying to find the line where it would be most appropriate for him.
There's also page 73.
Yeah, that's true.
So you looking at Steve, page 73?
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble opening up the audit online because it's buried in a zip folder.
You should have a hard copy, Steve.
Makes it easier.
Yeah. If you want me to lose something, print it for me in paper.
Well, Nick's copy appears full of sticky notes. He looks like a teacher over there.
Yeah, I've got lots of sticky notes. But I'm going to do first, it's only detail.
to the budget and,
Dana, one thing I'll say.
Yes, go ahead.
You typically provide a link to the Google Drive that has this.
Yep.
And it said, here's your link in the email, but there wasn't actually a link.
Yeah, we didn't get the link. Yeah.
So actually I had to try to go into the zip folder, which I'm having trouble actually opening. I did actually get it to open earlier, and I was looking through it. And as close as I could come to a fund balance was on Schedule 1, which is towards the end.
It is page 17.
Okay. That's a PDF page or the
It's the actual numbered page, not PDF page. PDF page 21.
All right, well, we don't have to dwell on this. I was just trying to find it.
What it's going to show is the fund balance on June 30th was 398,000, but that included monies that were either owed or encumbered or transferred to someplace else. So the actual unrestricted fund balance was approximately 270.
270?
Five, I think.
270.
Yep.
And we're working on setting up the other link for you, Sue, so that.
My apologies for that.
Yeah, I mean, I managed to open it up on my other computer, but for some reason it doesn't want to open up right now, so.
If that ever happens in the future, the link is the same each month.
I see, all right.
Well, the link, you can get there, because the link is not the same, but you can get there from the folder, go back one level, and then get the other one. My apologies. Yep.
Okay, is there any more questions about the audit report? If not, we have a motion to accept the final audit report as presented.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Nick, seconded by Kim. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing and seeing none, Judd is shaking his head no. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. Bridge loan for capital projects.
Yes, so I have been in contact with Mike Davey from EI and looking at the projects and looking at our request to, our application for applying for a loan from the bond bank. That will be due the end of the month. Shane and I are working on that. We already have an account with the bond bank, so we have a significant less paperwork we have to file in terms of doing that, which is just to do an additional application, which is easier than the initial. And we'll be working on that in the next couple of days. Mike Davey mentioned that even if that gets approved, there will be a delay of several months. I believe it's between, we talked to somebody from the bond bank as well. So that applications are due in May, they will make a decision, and then monies will usually be available sometime in August. And July, August. So we will need to do a bridge loan, and it's been recommended that we go out for approximately $2 million. And so I was just like the board to authorize me perhaps to get that information for you and bring back into the next meeting so that you can determine how you'd like to, or with whom you would like to have that arrangement for that treatment.
Questions? Nick?
Will you have anything for the budget and policy?
Tuesday?
Not next week, that's next week.
Yeah. Maybe.
Well, at least we can discuss.
Yeah, we can discuss it, absolutely.
See what the options are.
Yep, right.
Anyone else? Okay. May I have a motion to allow or to authorize Dana to do research and come back to us with information on a bridge loan for a capital project? Moved by Christina, seconded by Judd. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. Loan appropriation, legal review, hire loan attorney. Wow.
So, once again, I would ask you authorize you to seek out a recommendation for a loan attorney, probably a bond attorney, to be able to review those. The documents that we would be signing with respect to taking the loan for $8.1 million.
Okay. Questions, folks online? No? Any questions, concerns here? May I have a motion to authorize Dina to, under loan appropriation and legal review, to find recommendations for the board to hire a loan/bond attorney? Moved by Kim. Seconded by Tiffany. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right. Seeing and hearing no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. Dina, you've got a lot of work to do. One meeting, I'm going to leave without a lot of work to do.
Fortunately, I've been doing some of it.
EEI service contract.
This one you don't need to authorize me anyway, you just need to look at the contract. Well, actually, I guess you do, because somebody's authorized to sign it, so I suppose you want me. That's easier than
So, discussions around the contract?
That is a 64-page document, most of which you have seen in some form or another, except because they have incorporated their original work with the energy audit, energy audit that was also assumed in that. We were looking solely at the page.
Energy performance contract.
Yeah. Page 6, that's correct. I think that's where we have to have an authorized agent.
Yeah.
That's it, that's So, the letter is to inform you that the ESCO contract section work has been, no, excuse me, that's not the page.
This is what they sent to us. Sorry.
This is what they sent to us
when it's completed, so that they can make my final thing.
Wrong page.
Sorry.
Here. Letter of final acceptance.
That it?
Contract signatures?
Yes, the contract signatures, it should be page 26.
Page 26.
Except, I did pick up on this previously, but they got the wrong school district name. It says school district, Hansford School District. Elsewhere, they have a different reference to a different school district, so I will make sure that gets corrected. So, we just need to be able to authorize someone on behalf of the group to sign and enter into the group.
Have we had a lawyer look at this?
We have not.
Do we need to? I mean, we
don't
have an expert on board.
True
enough,
as we used to.
I would be happy to pass it over legal review, and then if you want to authorize me after I consult with the legal team, I'd be happy to serve as your agent.
I think it's necessary.
I will make sure that happens.
Probably should have done it ahead of time, but I read it myself. What I have done is I've compared a couple of the other agreements that they have had in the past that we had access to. So very similar to what other
school districts in the state have signed. But I will be happy to send it to our group.
Any questions from folks online? Would one of you like to make a motion to?
I had a question on the presentation. not so much on the contracts. I don't know if that wants to wait till later.
Which presentation you're speaking about, Steve?
There was an overview included in the packet on schedule, like when they were going to start doing some of the work.
An overview of the summer one?
Yeah, sure. Feel free to ask questions, but I can answer.
For some reason, when I'm reading, I didn't see the execution of the North Campus classroom stairway and renovations.
Okay, so this document is dated March 28th. We had a meeting subsequent to that where we went over some of those details.
Okay.
So what do you have a specific question about the timeline?
Well,
I'm just assuming that that's going to start along with everything else.
Yes. In fact, the emphasis is going to be in the beginning part of the summer on asbestos mitigation and the stairwell integration into North Campus. Because that will take, it will be the most invasive.
Right.
And I want to do it when there are fewer people available, so they won't be disrupted.
That was it.
It was included in this document.
Okay.
400,000.
No, they were talking about the timeline, it doesn't have a timeline.
Yeah, I didn't see it mentioned in the timeline.
No, right. That's because that was one of the questions that I raised after the March 28th Facilities Committee meeting. And felt that we needed to get together and get a little bit more specificity around those times. So we had a meeting, the following week with Eric Lafayette. Jay, were you present at that meeting? No. Okay, so it was Mr. John Curler and myself and Eric.
And Dana, not having had my head in this much, ECI is acting as the owner's rep in this function, or is there a separate owner's rep going to be involved?
Well, that's a good question. John is serving as our clerk of the works. If the board believes we need somebody outside to be looking at those interests, we can certainly look into that. Their structure, like Mike Davey is the overall contract manager. Eric Lafayette is the project manager, and Ken Sullivan, who is a previous employee of NWSD.
He's not quite left yet.
Okay. Is still connected to NWSD. Is going to be the on-site manager. So
ECI is acting as the contractor.
EEI is the contractor.
EEI is the contractor. Okay. And they're going out to bid for any subcontracts.
They've already done that, I believe.
They've already done that.
Yeah, based on our approval of their energy audit 2 years ago. So in order to do that energy audit, put some of those numbers together, they have been gathering that information.
And that's based on documents that Banwell's already created?
Yes.
Okay. So Banwell created biddable construction documents prior to the bond vote?
They had to in order to go out to the RFP. You have to have biddable documents, all that engineering thing. I don't really know that.
You went through it?
I'm on the facilities in my district.
Yep.
Did you hear
Well, it's often not done until after the bond vote. Because you're sort of at risk for spending money on the design before you have.
Well, prior to your arrival on board, Steve, the board did authorize an expenditure. I think it was up to $20,000 as a scope, the work, and to have this done. It came in at 15, I believe. It was under the total amount that was allocated. And they were able to do that with respect to getting quotes in order to put the final proposals together for the cost of the borrowing.
Okay. So So is there a location if the board wanted to look through the construction documents where we would be able to?
Yeah,
We can check with John, he's got those.
John Turner.
Yeah, so I just haven't had a clear picture of the whole process here, that's all, so.
Yep.
So they've already been through, subcontract bids. They've
Well,
got
I can't guarantee that they've done all that
Yeah,
completely.
but the major players are.
They have started to identify them.
Yeah, and, okay. Because it's a short window, it's tomorrow when they're gonna start here, so.
Yep.
In relative terms.
Right.
And it can be a lot of work to get a project like this up and running in short notice. Just the whole problem with the town vote in March, but.
So Steve, you mentioned clerk of the works, so that I know is one thing that I've asked before. Do you, in your expertise from your end of the world, would you think that that's something that the board is
Well,
okay with, John, or should we have an outside person?
I mean, there are a lot of people looking over this along the way already. The trick is, if you don't have somebody on the owner's side who's familiar with construction and can help with kind of the dance, you know, alerting the owner when this kind of disruption is going to happen and when this particular amount of money is due, or you know, what kind of expenses and effort the owner needs to add to the picture outside of his contract. You know, there's often things that have to be done by the owner, like getting some equipment out of the way so the contractor can work, X, Y, and Z. And sometimes if you've got somebody on your staff, like if John Curler's comfortable with that, and he's been through this a couple of times and knows how to advise, you know, everybody on that process, then that's suitable.
So the facilities committee has set up bi-weekly meetings to be brought up to speed by Eric Lafayette, potentially Ken Cameron on board, about the things that need the punch list and the things that need to be done in the next 2 or 4 weeks. And that's supposed to be all scheduled throughout the fall.
Right. You know, in some instances, there's what's called an owner's rep who's hired by the school board, who is in daily contact with the superintendent on the job. They talk every morning, and they deal with all sorts of logistical issues as well as managing the owner's side of the costs. You know, anything that's outside of the contract that the owner has to contribute. And I don't know if ECI has outlined, Dana, for you guys what those outside costs may be.
They have not.
Okay. And they may have somehow, you know, included that all underneath their umbrella.
I believe that
was with their contract. Like for instance, the building permit.
Yep.
Oftentimes, the building permit fee is paid outside of the construction contract by the owner. It's an example of what we would call a soft cost. And I don't know if there's a budget for that or a list of those things that fall outside of EI's contract that somebody on our side would be managing. And that's the kind of work that a owner's rep would oversee.
Okay.
And also, if there's any submittals, like let's say the EEI wants to propose there's some casework that needs to be looked at, is there who on the owner side looks at that, or you know, brings it to the attention of your committee, and works through the process of approving colors and hardware and whatever, and making sure that's getting back to EEI in a timely fashion, and you know, it's that sort of thing.
John,
there can be a lot of that involved for a person who's got another job at the school to try to handle on their own.
John is already managing some of those, some of those things for us, and we're having a conversation.
Okay.
Judd?
My understanding from that mid-morning meeting on Monday last,
28 days ago. Yeah.
that one, I think they were talking about Ken Sullivan being largely that person, and he and John Curler, but they were talking about Ken being on site every day from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. or whatever.
Right.
He was the go-to, the point person.
But as Steve mentioned, Judd, I think that Ken will be an employee of EI and not necessarily representing the interest of the board.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
Yeah, no, Ken is probably what we would call their job super.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the guy who's really where the rubber hits the road every day.
Right.
And, he's usually on a job like this in constant contact with owners, rap owners, whoever you're designating as your point person. And we don't want Ken bothering Dana all day.
Right.
Anybody else? So,
So there's an item on the table for discussion or action, and Nick made a suggestion to send the document to the legal team.
Right.
So
I have one more person that has a question.
Well, I was just wondering, isn't a clerk of works usually negotiated into the contract, like you negotiate price? Because you pay for it out of the bond, typically, right?
Right.
That's how it usually works. And we didn't do that.
We EACC.
Right.
When I talked to Mike about that,
Yeah.
he said that was not included in the overall cost.
Okay.
That they were budgeted, so.
Yeah, a clerk would normally be hired independently of somebody like EI.
Yeah. But Mike has offered to do it, basically, as part of his.
There has been no discussion with EI about them providing somebody for us to serve as clerk of the works.
Right.
I could ask them, but I'm pretty sure that I know what his answer is.
It's a little bit of a conflict.
Conflict of interest,
Yeah, I think that's us kind of own.
Right, and you need to have, clear parameters around what they're doing.
Right.
And so the question is, what is it that the clerk would be doing that John would not be expected to do?
That's a real question.
That is a real question.
Yeah, sorry.
John is intimately involved.
John is intimately involved. He has raised some questions about whether all of the documentation could be done. He's good with the decision making, he understands the process inside and out. But if you want to do the documentation, you might want a little additional assistance to document the process in stages. And what he shared with me was that when the North Campus facility was built, there was somebody who was doing the documentation. But that might be a separate item.
So the motion on the table is to authorize Dana to, under, where am I? EI service contract to sign for the board on the service contract.
After legal.
After legal. So is that, so that is the motion on the board, on the floor. So, is there any more discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That hand went down real quick. Any abstentions? Motion passed.
I don't have that made them for
I don't either.
No one made a motion, it was
Oh.
stated but never moved.
I thought Nick and Kim had moved it, sorry.
Can we try again?
So.
I'll move it.
All right, Steve moved it.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Steve and Kim.
Thank you.
Do you want me to vote again too?
I think we
Yes, okay, we'll proceed to vote on the motion, having Dana, has somebody review the EI service contract and authorize him to sign for the board, for the Career Center. Any more discussion? This is so weird, going back and forth between the screen and the room. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. CLNA view.
That's
That's
me and Jay.
Yeah, take it out of my mailbox.
So take a look up.
Is this big enough for you guys to see?
That's not sharing it.
Just want to make sure that this is.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
From November?
No, that's
That's what you said.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I should have said something. I wasn't sure this was.
No,
That was something we used.
I thought. Got so many
Someone's
presentations.
presentations. Losing my mind. Give me 1 second here.
Oops, I got it.
So while Dana's working on that, facilitator for faculty staff meeting, I've been given yet again a couple more names. So far I'm striking out. So I will reach out to the next set of names that I was given and see if anybody is available. Right now everyone is saying they're not taking on any more work because they're slightly overworked. So Dana kindly gave me 2 names.
Well, I gave you 2 names and 2 portions.
Yes. So I will continue my search and continue to report back. Dana's still working, so we'll go to increase frequency of board meetings 2 times per month through August.
Suzanne, sorry.
Sorry, yes.
Have you tried any Rusty in
No.
the Federal Mediator Service?
Annie Rusky, R-U-S-K-E?
I can send you her information.
Okay. That was not one that was given to me, but thank you.
Yeah.
So increase frequency of board meetings. We have a lot of work on our plate. And I know that typically we only meet once a month, but lately we've been having to pull in extra board meeting. So the thought was if we at least schedule 2 meetings a month, we would have them and hopefully be able to get away from the extra meetings that we have to have. We may still have to have some extra meetings because of the superintendent search. But what is the board's pleasure on that? Or thoughts? Anyone? There?
If we go to 2, can we have a slightly shorter agenda for each one?
I would hope, yes.
That would be my condition. Not to exceed 2 hours.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, my class is starting in 9 minutes. Anybody?
So, I know other boards, like other school boards that I've been on, they typically take a break over the summer, like July. Talking about twice a month, June, July.
Last summer, did we take a break, guys?
No. And we did not have a July meeting scheduled at Met Place.
Yeah.
Well, I just have a question. So if we vote to meet twice a month, if we find that there's not a need for the second meeting, can we cancel or would it be
Yes.
And maybe one should just be a Zoom.
Yeah, that's great.
Because it's less,
We could do
there's
that.
less travel.
Did you guys hear that? That we
Yeah.
one meeting in person and the second one is a Zoom meeting? So that would be helpful. Thoughts? Yeah?
Still talking about Thursdays? Is that the same?
Yeah, I mean, we meet the second Thursday, so maybe we go the fourth Thursday? I mean, so that we aren't meeting back to back? I don't know.
Well, it would put all the school board meetings for me in those 2 weeks rather than having one every week.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of having it scheduled, whether we use it or not is an option, but at least that way it's not the surprise meeting on Friday morning at 7 o'clock.
Right, yeah.
What I would suggest is if you are going to do that, the most strategic point would be the one in between now and the regularly scheduled May meeting.
So, funny you should mention that.
Yeah.
So, remember we talked on Saturday, and the consultants wanted another meeting with us to go over the stakeholder information and present that to the board. What we had come up with April 28th. The consultant is at a family wedding in California. And she was more than willing to interrupt the wedding proceedings to spend an hour with us. And I'm like, no. Plus, the survey will only been open for 3 days. So she's asked us if we would be willing to move the survey and the stakeholder presentation meeting to May 5th. Which is why I said, funny you should mention that to Dana. Because that would fall for our next May meeting.
Is that a Thursday?
So it would be a regular board meeting in addition to.
So that one is just superintendent search.
Okay.
The board meeting scheduled for the 12th. We are scheduled on the 14th currently as an executive session for presentations. I know that we already have one candidate, because if anybody noticed, I was texting, and I was texting with Joel, Steve Joel, who said that we have our first applicant. So, that was what I was texting, I wasn't trying to be rude. So what are people's pleasure?
So,
So
for the next,
So
the 28th, she's asked us to move that to the 5th.
I thought it was Wednesday the 27th, actually. That's what I had on my calendar.
No, it was a Thursday.
Thursday.
It was a Thursday.
Well, it's good we talked about it then.
But
So-
But if we move to
I can do the 5th.
Okay.
Maybe that's 5 o'clock?
The 5th would be.
That's not gonna be a board meeting, right? That's gonna be.
So that-
Dedicated to the search.
They're behind us by a couple hours, so.
Right, so actually the May 5th would be, because of the time difference, we would be here or online or how we want to do it at 6:30, so it would be a later meeting. And that would be just with the consultant.
My question about that, Suzanne, is that if there are things related to the tasks that I have, it would be great if there would be a couple of action items related to ritual or something like that, that's going to take care of. Would it be possible to have a small agenda if I actually am able to get information to the board for that? That would save time, we can get things put in motion for funding and moving the project forward.
If the board's okay with doing that, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
We could start at 5 o'clock and get those over with.
Well,
No.
Well, the meeting with the consultants is 6:30.
I'm not available till 6.
So 6 o'clock. I mean, I'm not thinking that it's going to take long. If it's just a task that you're giving me, I'm going to come back with information and make a choice. 6 is fine.
Okay.
So, but the question is, 2 times a month board meetings, and is it okay if we schedule second and fourth?
Not including this one.
Not including this one. Would that work for people? And knowing that if we didn't need the second one, we would cancel it.
I'm good.
You could even say that the second one which would be the fourth Thursday, would be Zoom.
How's that? We can even say right now which one's Zoom and which one's in person. Because
We shouldn't have to worry about it getting dark, Nick. And we shouldn't have to worry, well, I shouldn't say this, but a snowstorm.
Because the
Midwest
Midwest
has got 40 inches. So, glad they're not here.
So does that mean you want to schedule one for May 26th?
Just Thursday.
I'm gonna be out of town, but.
And I'll be out of town with Eugene.
Okay.
So,
So, can we at least act on two?
How about, can we say twice a month? And then we can do a doodle poll if we have to.
That sounds good. Maybe first, you wanna have them separate, you wanna do them like back to back.
I think it would be better if we separated them out.
Because otherwise we have the agenda right after the board meeting, if they're
Right.
back to back.
Yeah.
That's the agenda.
Yeah. So could I have a motion to move that we increase frequency of board meetings to 2 times a month through August, with the second one being on Zoom?
So moved.
Moved by Nick, seconded by someone?
Steve?
Steve, been moved and seconded to increase frequency of board meetings to 2 times per month, with the second one being on Zoom.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll also proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any abstentions? Motion passed.
And do you want me to hold that right now for the 26th?
Sure.
Okay, that's done, that's done.
CLNA review, do we have the right one up there?
Yep, we do.
All right, so we're back to the CLNA review.
I'm surprised that the app wasn't in that document.
Okay, who's taking this one away?
We'll tag team it. So, just to give you a little background, the federal government has reauthorized the procurement legislation, which is funded for our current technical education in the United States. It's at both the secondary level and post-secondary level. And as part of that reauthorization, career centers and community colleges, or those in the state of Vermont, and Tech College, have to do a comprehensive needs assessment now every 2 years. We're in the second cycle, although in the first cycle was a lot of guidance about how we did a comprehensive needs assessment. We had to gather lots of documentation and information, but there were no structured questions and no structured process. We now have a very structured set of questions and a structured process, and most career and technical ed leaders, both at secondary level and post-secondary level, drowning in the virtual world of documentation we're collecting. You have a team here at the Career Center that includes Jay Stetzel, myself, and Len Schmidt as the core in-house comprehensive local needs assessment team. And we have our partners from outside, including Fred Kenny from ACSD, Jennifer Stefani from CCB, and one of our directors of guidance at that is April Wortman. We've also asked Mike Adam to be our adjunct student services reviewer, since he's a good founders and specialist. And this evening we are looking to provide you with some information, gather some feedback on 2 of the 6 areas that are built into the comprehensive local needs assessment. So you have those 6 areas up there, and this evening we will highlight student performance and labor market information. We sent you documents in the board packet that have both the student performance data at the school level as well as at the state level, and you have labor market information that is aligned to our programs. Jay, you want to say? Just do it. Thanks. So the questions to explore, and did I send you a copy of this question? I know it's all documentation, but I'm not sure if I sent you.
Maybe I didn't send a question,
So my apologies, but not that's what I had intended to do, but I think I sent you 21 documents. Anyway, so the questions on student performance are, how are students in each program performing on federal accountability indicators? How are students from special needs populations performing in each CTE program? In comparison to students who do not fall into those categories? And how are students from different gender, races, and ethnicities performing with respect to each CTE program? Which CTE programs have the highest outcomes, which have the lowest? Are there certain CTE programs with special populations performing above average, below average? Okay, and I think our next slide, if I'm not mistaken, Jay, should be the data. So, click on that link and hopefully it goes where I'd like it to go. State data, we'll take a look at state data first. You know what? Maybe we can skip the state data and we can just go to, because you've got a line, right? Okay. You have all the state data there. What we have done is we've consolidated that and compared it on our sheet. So why don't you skip back out of there? This is it. So on, this might be a little bit bigger. I'll put my glasses on. So what we have done is we have listed in alphabetical order our programs. And then across the top, to give you a little orientation, we have the areas of testing. So we have applied math, we have graphic literacy, and we have workplace documents. Okay, that's F. So that's B, D, and F. It presents it as a level score. The scores, the level scores go from below 3, and then they start at 3 and go to 7. And then there is an applied scale. There's a scale score that ranges from, what is it,
65 to 90.
65 to 90. And some of the boundaries are just a single point. So it could be between 68 and 69, or 69, 70, and that changes the levels. So what you have here is a summary of our programs. And Jay, if you want to scroll over, the first one we'll look at is ART, both for performance, I think it's all performance. Now I'm going to caution you that what we're looking at is data by our juniors last year. So at the end of, by the end of the 2021 school year, these are the rates. So programs and proficiencies, we have up there math, 62.5% of the ART students were proficient. In math and ELA, the state level was 51, 52 almost, and 45. Nick, over to column L on the right-hand side. That's the summary information. So what Jay has done is he's taken all of the columns, and if you look at the graphic, we're doing applied math. So any score that is 5 or above is considered proficient. Okay. So what he's done is he's taken that and consolidated. So anything that was a 6, 5, 7 gets included in the proficient scores that are reported in column L.
The 3 and the 4 does not.
3 and 4 does not. Those are the ones not. Now, it's quite possible that a student who scored a 4 could have been one scale point away, but that's not for us to debate at this point in time.
So there's an example of this right here. So here's a student who got a 5, and their scale score is an 8. There's a student who got a level 4, and their scale score is a 79.
Okay.
A really high 4, they missed that proficient level by one scale point, which is not actually 1 point. And nonetheless, it's
very, very close.
So the summary you have over to the right there, that's not on the data you sent us? That's something different? Because I don't see that.
We don't have anything past the column.
I've got all the raw data here, but I don't see your column there. It says program.
Oh, did you download it from the zip file?
Yes.
Yes. Because you didn't fold.
I did.
So, yeah, I apologize, I added columns L and over later, after they had sent out. So if you had access to Google Drive, we would have.
But you did send us, I got it.
You got it? All right. Well, my apologies, I was
Print it.
You can't print it. I can't guarantee you can print it, but I have so many different things that I was sending out. I lost my
In my vision, not having it in there when they sent out the zip file.
Yeah.
Hey Jay, can you explain the proficient level 5 all tests, the F and T column?
Sure. So what the state is looking for, and in terms of students earning a national career readiness certificate, they need to earn a level 5 score or higher in all three tests to qualify. In this case, level 5 is gold, level 6 and 7 is platinum, level 4 is silver, level 3 is bronze. And those, so a gold, if a student earns a gold level certificate, earning 5 in all three tests, that says that they are prepared for about 90% of the jobs that are in our labor market. Level 4 silver is about 60%, I believe. Level 3 is about 20%. So if they're at a level 6 or 7 platinum, then they're ready for about 90% of the jobs that are out there. So that's E and F. If you have C, that means they got 5 or higher on all three.
I think it's true or false. Either they made it or they didn't.
So I just couldn't figure out what the letters stood for.
The T is yes, the F is no.
Okay.
I had a different document. Sorry, I didn't change that either. I changed it to yes and no in a different document, not this one. So
Right.
I apologize.
Okay. I figured it was a pass-fail kind of thing, but
Yes, it's basically true or false.
Yeah, that's actually how it came to us from the state, interestingly enough.
From the state or from Ortiz? From ACT.
Yeah, well,
That's a dumb question, I don't see culinary arts near here.
Well, because they're all alphabetical.
No, that's because we did not have any juniors in
okay.
So that's, I guess that's the other piece to explain is, so because this was the first year that the state was asking telling all career centers to use WorkKeys as an assessment tool, they gave us the option of testing just our juniors, because then we're able to test them again this year, and we can see how they did from one year to the next. We did actually, there are a little bit of our data in here does include a couple seniors, because we were able to give them the option of taking it if they wanted to earn a national career readiness certificate. So I want to say there's maybe 4 or 5 seniors that are in this, but otherwise it's all juniors. And then we now are actually finishing up the test now. So we'll be able to do some comparisons that we weren't able to do with this initially.
And that data is a composite of all of the tests in the fall and then in the spring. So what Jay has done is he's taken any of the scores and they're reported. So if a student, say the third student down, number 4, where they have a 78, they have a 5, a 4, and whatever it is, a 4 or 5, and a 4. If that person had tested, well, I'm probably picking the wrong example because it doesn't meet it. Go down one more. 7, 6, and 5. That student may have had a 6, 5, and a 4 in the fall. And when they tested again, they met the criteria for getting the career readiness. No, excuse me. Yes, career readiness.
Having 1 4 on any of those tests would only qualify them for a silver level certificate.
Right.
They get the certificate based on their lowest
score. Right. So this gives them a certificate at that level, at a higher level, the gold level, and qualifies them for being fully proficient with AOE. So
Anyway, it's twice a year. We do not have, once they've gotten 2 baseline points, they only have to test in areas where they're not proficient. So that would be in the spring of each year. But as Jay said, we'll have some data to compare later on, once all of the work is done this spring.
So when I'm looking at the levels at the bottom, I'm just curious, that state actual FY21 percentage, is that state figure level 5 and above?
Christina, are you talking?
I'm on.
Yeah.
My spreadsheet, at the very bottom, there's a list of bronze, silver, gold, platinum, percentage wise, right? And then percent level 5 and above, where I'm assuming this is our figure, we're at 49.3%.
Yep.
Have reached 5 or above. In math, and then 39 in the workplace.
Right, and the state is right below it.
The state is right below it. So I just wanted to make a point that we're above the state level, right? Which is good.
Yes.
And
the state workplace documents is what the state is using for the English language arts proficient level for our students.
So Christina, to your question, that is good in the aggregate, but what we are required to do is look at it with respect to all populations. So we look at it between males and females. We look at it with respect to special populations, whether those are students with disabilities, homeless, single parent families, and a variety of other categories.
So are there percentages attached to this category?
Yes. That's another piece I added later.
Oh, okay.
So that's what you can see here on the screen. You can see it online as well. So our female students are above the state average in math and also in English language arts. Our male students are slightly below the state average in both areas. We recognize the concern around our students with disabilities and their proficient levels. The state levels are very low as well, unfortunately, but ours are even lower. So, a place that we heard from our Inclusive Education Project team, so some important work we need to do there. So.
Thank you.
And in fact, I think one of the conclusions that we drew was for most of our subpopulations, we had work to do because they weren't performing at the same level as our non-identified populations.
That's the row at the bottom, the no support plan.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a pretty standard looking chart right there.
And then you have the number of, down in the lower left-hand corner, you have number of students tested, 79, and number of students on plans, 35.4%. And you have those numbers along the side as well. You have gender, 34 students, 34 females, 45 males.
Christina, also I'm just wondering, and because of this review, is that why ART and industrial design and culinary arts are on the list of things?
No. That's the next slide. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but it has nothing to do with how the students are performing.
Okay.
In fact, students are performing.
They're better.
If you look at ART, they were at 62% as compared to 50%.
But it is related to purpose, right?
This is all related.
Right, but also the programs, because they're funded by.
I'll explain that a little bit because Eric characterized it relatively well, but there are a couple of nuances that I think you need to be aware of. You know, we do believe that the program is a valuable one. Just how AOE has been presenting it to the career center directors and superintendents is that it's a process to help ensure that alignment, which is part of the legislation.
Yeah, because our legislators came to our board meeting Monday.
I heard about that.
They came, they were trying to explain it, and I just wanted
I can try to answer as many questions as possible.
Yeah.
I can certainly take on other questions. And raise them. They've been trying to educate us for the past 2 years. Jay, do you want to scroll down? So now if you're looking at, what are we looking at? Civil engineering and architecture. Did we do automotive? No. Yeah, our automotives we have red because they are, they are struggling both in math and ELA, as you can see, compared to about 10 to 15% percentage points below us. We also have to be careful of the numbers because if you only have 1 or 2 students in both of them, proficiency, you get 100%. That's not something necessarily indicative of how our programs are operating.
And again, keep in mind, these are only our juniors, so this is not representative of the number of students in this program.
Correct, as well.
But construction technology, you have a green here, actually.
Yep. They're significantly above. Very good, yeah.
Orange just means that they're close, slightly under. Red, more below.
And once again, we have, they're by categories, and having one person in that category, and they didn't make that gets us a 0.
Industrial design and fabrication doing well. Medical professions, fairly on par with the state. And sustainable ag, students also well compared to the state.
Yeah, I think this will get more interesting as you go along, I think.
Yeah, right.
But
this is part of our
very small snapshot, but it's good to see how it's being analyzed anyway.
And please, as you look through this, if there are questions that come up in your mind, please fire an email off to Jay, and we will incorporate that into our analysis. So let's jump to one more sheet. These are labor market information questions. What are the industries with projected growth in the state, and what occupations have projected growth? Are our program offerings broad enough to expose students to all in-demand industries? How do our CTE programs enrollments match projected job openings? Are there labor market economic needs in the state, et cetera? Jay just jumped to the next slide. I'm trying to do this quickly. What are the emerging occupations in the state, and to which students should be exposed? What does our student performance data indicate? That's just viewed. And how may it be lacking in one program, what skills have industry partners identified as lacking. We're going through a process of collecting that information now. Our programs, graduates are private, and do students who are included in one or more Purpose 5 special populations successfully transition. So we touched on that a little bit in the last data analysis.
So does some of this connect to like the that brochure that we had on field day? So the top 300 up and coming jobs, or
exactly that has influenced that is Glorify Foundation. Most promising jobs in the next 10 years. They do that, and that's based on labor market data that we get from the department. So the two of them are integrated, and so both of them have that we're looking at our data. So next slide, Jay, and I think we'll just jump to the data sheet and do a really quick overview because I think we're going on long. So what we have done, and you can see down the bottom there are a number of tabs. And the first one gives you an idea. Maybe we'll go through all of them, Jen. If we can make that a little bigger, good. This information is very similar to what you were mentioning, Suzanne. The Glorify Foundation most promising jobs indicate median wage, the type of education required, and so you can see there that some of it, if you're an architect, a bachelor's degree, if you are doing architectural and civil engineering, you might only need an associate's degree, and if you're surveying and mapping, a high school diploma. And we're looking at all of those as we figure out where our students may be heading. But if we're looking at high school graduates preparing to go into field, we're looking at a median wage of as close to $20 an hour as possible that our students will qualify to go to. So that's some of the data. And we have this, if you want to click through to a couple of others, Jay. 95 total openings for ART or ART related fields. If you go to auto, we have 300 jobs in that area. So what I might encourage you to do is with this orientation, go through, look at some of the categories, job titles on the left, see the total number of positions, and see how it aligns to our programs. And can you slide over, Jay, to the right? Okay, and so you have typical education needed and then work experience.
Where is that information coming from?
That's coming from the Department of Labor. Actually, AOE through the Department of Labor. Department of Labor provided AOE data jobs.
For Vermont. Not federal.
And the interim is based on what year? Because that's one of the challenges. This data is several years back, so it's not current right now. You know, the actual job.
I want to say that it was perhaps 2020, so 2 years trailing. But don't quote me on that. It is not 2021. It's not 2022. So could it be 19? It could be. But they're also projecting into the future. And the McClure Foundation had a 2022 brochure that was projecting out 10 years. So into 2030.
I apologize. Actually, here it's right here. So when in 2018, here's the number of jobs.
Oh yeah.
Right. Median wage is 2020.
Yep.
So and here's the projections for 2028.
Right.
Frankly, is also, the Department of Labor did those regional conferences and.
These data are not that disaggregated.
Okay.
So we've asked, and they cannot, for whatever reason, the way they aggregate data, they cannot give us the actual number of openings in any particular county or region. We can only take the statewide data.
Did Fred have the state Madison County data?
We do have data, but it's not presented this way.
Okay.
So.
That's pre-pandemic too, so a lot of those jobs maybe.
Yeah, they could be influenced, the numbers could be influenced by the pandemic.
So, because Bureau of Labor Statistics, the federal Bureau of Labor Statistics does a lot of work, and it's very up-to-date. I think it's current, it's like 2022. Why is that data not being used?
Can't answer that question because the person who provides us with data is federal Department of Labor, who uses the Bureau of Labor Statistics data. So I can't answer the question. I can write that down and ask them.
Sure.
I think most of the data is trailing on some level.
Okay.
I mean, they might be able to give us job creation from the previous month, things like that.
Employment change by industry with confidence intervals March 2022, seasonally adjusted in thousands. Is the chart that I'm looking at right now at the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics. So I don't know.
If you want to send me the link, I'll send it. Sure. From something.
So data, yes, I had the horrible nightmare when Ruth sent me this, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So what do you need from the board tonight? I know that part there was your presentations, you had to go out and ask people surveys.
And we're doing that. Tonight is mostly to give you information about what we're doing, how that process is evolving. And to ask you what we just did, give you the presentation. We'll be sending you more documents.
This is the most intensive. We picked the two that we had the most data about, and we had the two that were going to take the most time for us to digest, and gave that to you because it touches other areas as you've seen. So what we need from you is to look at that and either ask us some questions about whether this is how our programs are doing, or things you might want us to think about. Because right now, the way that these programs are identified is we take each one of our programs and we link it to the labor market data. But what is missing, we know this is a gap, is that if there are newly created jobs, say robotics, and we don't have a robotics program, what types of questions do we want to ask in terms of how do we tap into it? So that's something that we want to be able to gather.
Okay.
So anything that you can put together for us and then send it to me and Jay, we will look at that and include it in our responses in the survey.
So basically, you'd like us to go through this whole document, review it, and see if we have questions?
Don't dive deeply, too deeply. Look at first impressions, because that's what we're doing with other partners on the CLNA review team, and pull out the things that jump out.
Okay.
So for example, you had Eric do a presentation earlier this evening. Okay, and he was talking about the value of ART. And you saw that from a student performance perspective, ART students have performed well. So that might be something to say, hey, this program seems to be a program that provides, at least from an academic perspective, to the students who are able to participate, they can earn credentials. And you can look at what they have in here in the job titles, but one of the questions is, and Eric and I have been talking about this, so is Jay and Aaron, that just because there's a job title doesn't apply, doesn't mean that the skills are not adapted. So if you can think of other areas where those skills from ART could be used in terms of communications, in terms of set design, in terms of lighting, in terms of creativity, throw those out there. If you happen to think of a job in Vermont or elsewhere that might use those skills, fire us off an email, and you've got a link or an ad that's out there, put that in there too, because that is the data that we're looking for to help provide alignment between our programs that we're offering and programs that we may not be yet offering and the labor market data, so that we can show that our students can perform well in these jobs as they leave the secondary camp.
Kim?
And what groups are you going to share this with?
So,
other than us.
Well, there are surveys that, you want to take that?
Can we talk about in terms of this data or the overall report? I guess we're not necessarily going to share this data with a lot of people because they're going to get bogged down and we don't need that. I think the bigger piece for us, and kind of getting back to Christina's question, what Eric was talking about earlier, is we need to get information. Because right now, there's rumor going around that ART is canceled. Right. Which is not true at all. But that's what's gotten out there, unfortunately.
Or it's moving to one of the high schools.
Right. Well, because that's what the state is kind of pushing for, is that it's not, it doesn't fall under the CTE heading for a variety of reasons. And so what we're doing with the CLNA process is making the case for the fact that, no, this program is important to CTE, is important for the Career Center. And then over these next 2 years, before we have to do the CLNA again, we're building that program and continuing to make that case. And ultimately, if we decided as a Career Center and the support of the board, we can maintain ART and stay the same. It's not a CTE program anymore.
So there are implications for that.
Right. So in the meantime, here's someone saying it's canceled, they're not applying because the program's closing. Not true. Please have them apply because having more students in the program also supports our case.
So again, you didn't answer my question.
All right.
Who?
I'll answer that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So our outside review team folks in the building, all of our teachers have access to this data, is that correct?
Right.
So everybody in the Career Center has access to the data. Outside review team, which is what is part of how our reach goes, has access to the data. We are surveying parents, we're surveying community members, we're surveying business partners, we're surveying 6 groups. Families, we're surveying teachers, parents, and students. So those are the 6 groups that we're surveying to gather data from. But in terms of who's looking at these data right now, it's probably 7 core people and anybody associated with the Career Center.
Any legislators looking?
That's a good question because they certainly have access to the data from AOE because that's a public document.
It's presented to them.
I don't know
how the program's going.
Yeah, I mean, that could certainly be done. We have a tight timeline, a lot of people are under a lot of pressure to get things put into the system. So, I think that the appropriate time to make a presentation to legislators would be once we have a consolidated response to the comprehensive local needs assessment, and we can say that this program is doing extremely well, and here are the connections, both academically as well as to the.
So it's another group that I can hear on your list that I think are very valuable. It will give you some of the answers about where these programs went, and that's your alumni. The people that are already out there in the workforce, who can tell you, I started here and I went there and this was my track.
Right, and that's what we've asked many of our instructors to do, to reach out to alumni and those anecdotal stories.
That's an incredible amount of information.
As well as how that makes the linkage that we were just talking about between a program and where somebody ends up. So it may not be a direct path. And one of the things that's a false assumption about the data that was presented here with respect to the labor market alignment is that it's almost mapped one-to-one. And for some of them, that makes sense. But for other ones, particularly the creative fields, there's no one-to-one map. So we need to be able to make a case.
No, and I look at my own children where they went after they went here. And you're right, it's all over the place, but again, it comes back to where they started. And maybe some other courses took it some time.
Right.
So, question. I know that some of the programming has college credits connected to it. Does this one?
It will.
Yeah, we're working on it. So that's one of the pieces to implement over the next 2 years to make more of a case. Right. This is where the value is. This is how students, so they have industry recognized credentials.
And that partnership would be with
CCB.
Thank you. Do we have any partnerships with Castleton anymore?
We do. Yep. We have partnerships with Castleton and partnership with VTC, CCV. We also have a partnership with University of Maine. That's our natural resource. We also have a partnership with UNLH for automotive use. So we have some out-of-state partnerships.
Yeah, and there's additional ones that if students go to those schools of culinary as an example. If they're going to culinary school, they will accept a recommendation from us, hours that the students have spent here to count for hours in the program there. They have to go to that.
And we used to have a NECI Culinary Institute, but with that folded, we lost that connection. So we're working with the instructor to try and identify another area where we could have a drone.
So basically, look at it. If anything jumps out at us,
yes, please.
Question, send it to you. Don't send it to me.
No, please send it to me and Jay, and we will incorporate that into our discussions. We have many more discussions on that for Kirby.
I think if you're hearing anything in public, people talking about a question that they have, please refer to us. Please, Steve sent me an email because he had a question that came from someone. So I was able to clarify a question about ART for him. So we want to get
Steve Rooney.
Steve Rooney, yes. Sorry, I have to use last name, but I forget now.
Yes, we have lots of Steves. Okay, so we don't really need an action, like
No,
motion on this.
You may need action sometime in May or potentially June to accept our report or the information that has gone into it. And once again, we'll do a presentation such as this, giving you what we thought and analyzed and what the data say to us and giving you an opportunity to review that.
Okay, all right, let's move on.
Thanks.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
that was very.
Chairman?
Huh?
Just on the board reorganization.
Yeah, I know, we skipped that.
Skipped it, just bring that to your attention.
I know, I saw that. You wanna take a motion to hire a secretary?
We, appointment.
We have a clerk. She's sitting over there.
That's right.
But we have to have a board member that serves as the capacity of secretary.
It's not me. That's like what Lorraine did.
Lorraine used to do it.
And
Executive
didn't we also table some other committee appointments?
We tabled committee appointments until we had full membership, and so we have one more member tonight, which I haven't had a chance to talk to her about what she might like to serve on.
So the secretary piece usually is session, this time and a few, because this usually if there's a motion that comes out afterwards.
A special board meeting if we don't have a clerk.
I do that with board writing.
Oh, you would?
Unless anybody wants to rest me down. We call it the clerk position, whatever. We do the
Training in ACSD.
I'd like to nominate Christina.
Second.
Secretary.
Anybody have any discussion on that?
Thank you, Christine.
Yes, you got it, Christine. Nobody even wants to say anything. Thank you.
Vote on this?
You need a vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Christina, do you want to say no?
Volunteered.
Any abstentions? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Hiring information technology instructor and engineering instructor. This was, these two positions are the ones that are responsibility of
There's a slight clarification. The position is just to fill out the rest of this year for the information technology person.
just till June?
Just until June. So the committee is still formed and they're still looking for candidates for next year. This is just to get us to the end of the year. And I ran resumes by, both of these resumes by Ailey, and then both of those for a budget list. So that's why they're both budget. But one is just for this year.
Okay.
And that is the information technology minister.
Okay.
And then that's an interim position.
So what happens, don't question, what happens to the position he's currently in while he's doing this interim?
The way that it's structured is the amount of time that would be needed can be added to his other position outside of for compensation purposes and time and getting things done. So he and I have already talked about how that would work out logistically. But he is available to be able to make a bigger presence within the classroom to support their students.
Okay.
So if say for example, he's doing 2 hours worth of instruction on a Tuesday afternoon, he could do additional hours either that day, or he could do additional hours on the weekend, things like that. So he's willing to be flexible in his schedule to be able to accommodate the support area of him.
Okay.
But that's why it's only interim.
Okay. Got it. So, Steve, Rudy, and Kim, you have a, and Jay, you have a candidate on this
list?
Do we want to do the information?
Yeah.
You can do whichever one you want to do first.
Yeah, so I think since we were just talking about that one, maybe start with that.
So I.
And you have the information on the website, right? So you would like to know.
Make a motion to hire information technology instructor for the remainder of the school year. Do you want to name names or no?
Yeah, sure, because that's,
Dan Callahan.
Yeah, it's Dan Callahan for that position.
interim for the rest.
For the rest of the remaining school year.
Is there a second to that?
Yeah, I'll second them.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to hire Dan Callahan for information technology instructor interim through the end of the school 22 school year, right?
Correct.
Any discussion? Okay. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. Okay, engineering instructor.
This is one.
Right, yeah, so this position is for the 22-23 school year. You had access hopefully to Katie Hill's resume and information there. She was going to be final candidate. She came in the teaching interview. She also met with Kim and Steve Rooney and myself. This is the final interview. She has close to 30 years of experience in the engineering field, and comes with great references. And she also has taught a number of college courses. So while she has not taught high school students, she has experience teaching, which we found very valuable. She's really excited about this opportunity and taking a step away from her current consulting business, the uncertainty of that, and the crazy schedule that requires. So we're pretty fortunate that we found someone with her experience and just her ability to work with students. We're excited. I don't know if Kim or Steve want to add any more to the conversation.
She talked about making that transition, and she indicated she'd be supportive for 2 years of mentor, so that she could work on classroom management skills and those types of things that obviously the teacher at this level will experience on a regular basis. Anyway, Steve, you know her personally. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I don't say enough about her as a professional, and she's a great communicator. She actually is very artistic as well. She knows as much about the architecture field, frankly, I think, as I do. Most of the time when I'm working with a structural engineer, we're working hand in hand on a project from start to finish. So the structural engineers are very exposed to the architectural end of things. And vice versa, that's how I learned most of my structure. So she's very good at process, what it takes to get from point A to point B in a very clear and logical fashion, and she's very good at communicating that. So I obviously have less understanding and experience with her abilities as an educator. I think that was for the committee and for others like Jay to sort of analyze more closely, but in my working experience with her, she's really been excellent. So.
The other piece I'll add, Dana mentioned earlier that Mary has confirmed that she'll be eligible for an apprenticeship license. That's the one that's required because she doesn't have the teaching experience or a current license. So she'll go through the Vermont Technical College teacher licensure program, which is a 4-year program. She's aware of that commitment and actually excited about going through it and just learning more about teaching methods, those sorts of things. So the teaching college courses she's sort of thrown in and did them. So it's great that she has that experience, and she's looking forward to doing the education part for herself as well. So I know it's been a sticking point sometimes for hires in the past, right? It's a big ask to go into that program and learn it yourself while you're also, starting a new job, teaching high school students. So, yeah.
Judd, you unmuted, so I'm thinking that's because you wanted to say something?
No, I was just getting prepared to make a motion to.
Let's move on.
Right, Judd, go for it.
I'd like to make a motion, and I'm sorry, my iPad battery died, so I cannot recall the name off the top of my head. I would like to make a motion to accept Katie Hill from the committee. And that was a pretty impressive resume until I read Ms. Love's resume.
Is there a second? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll need to vote on hiring Katie Hill for the 2022-23 school year engineering instructor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'd like to.
Okay. One abstention, which is Steve Orsick.
Yes.
Motion has passed. Where are we? We are now at the informational agenda. First thing there is code of ethics. Did everyone get a chance to? You two obviously can't turn them in tonight. But if you could possibly sign your code of ethics, drop them off at the career center.
Is a digital email version acceptable?
That's perfectly acceptable. Send it to Tree, please.
Yep.
Judge, you can do the same thing if, okay?
Did you send to the back?
I sent it to Steve, because I asked if anyone else gave it at the time.
I will make sure.
Oh, thank you.
I'll just say
Does anybody need a copy of the
Code of ethics that's sitting here? I think everyone that's.
Actually, you already signed it.
I'm sending myself a message to sign it.
You expressed it as being a candidate, but I don't know whether the date precludes this or
The next item, board training follow-up. And communication page and link. I'm sorry, it's been so long since we made this agenda.
That was just for us to talk about, I think Suzanne, that there is a link for board training on the VSBA website and one wants to say it.
Right, so on the VSBA website, which is the Montana Board Association, there are a ton of resources, trainings, different things. Dana and I just sit through our 8 hours of.
We did it.
No,
it's coming up after.
It's coming up. We break it up 2 hours, 2 hours, so that, 8 hours of mandated board.
Most of them were pretty good.
Board superintendent, training, so we are signed up for all of those. If anybody would like to join us at any of those Mondays, it is $75 and we can add other board members, so.
Yeah, we pay one fee and anybody can join.
Right.
So the board 101, they'll count no matter where you do them, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Counting as that.
Yes.
Yes.
So what you're asking, I think, Steve, is if you've done it as part of ACST,
yeah.
The training is just for making sure that board members have orientation responsibilities.
So, I mean, last year they offered a diversity, equity, and inclusion course to board chairs and to, we started with just board chairs and then after that they opened it up to others, because they can get the board chairs have time on their plate to do it. It was a very interesting course. So that was a really good piece, but they have a lot there, so, browse through it.
I did the negotiation.
Yeah.
So that's that. Reports to board, we had facility report. Sorry, Steve.
I just want to make sure I didn't miss something.
You might have.
Are we having a retreat, just us, or are you just talking about the SBA resources?
So we typically have a retreat, but it's normally like in August.
Okay.
So
So I didn't miss something.
No.
It's been scheduled. Okay.
No, if you'd like, we can start talking about August, but.
No.
Okay.
We're already after 6 o'clock. It's into one of our new meetings, right?
Okay, so you received a lot of reports. Anybody have any questions for anyone? Online, folks?
Kim had a question, and I said I would address it.
Oh, yes, thank you. Status of the business meeting?
Okay, yeah.
So, our team is aggressively being bound to review possible candidates for the business manager position, and we interviewed another candidate today. We did a brief debrief, and we'll be continuing our process. Moving forward to, and we'll be updated as we look at the candidates. So we've interviewed 2 people so far, and we'll hope to interview more. The job posting is still open. We actually, did we post that? I signed off on the purchase
We
request.
have not, we were waiting until you did an interview this week, and then you were going to let me know if we needed to go ahead and post on.
We think that it would be beneficial to go ahead and do that.
I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
Most of the others I had mine with covered.
Right, I know.
So the one thing, because we have MCTV here, I just wanted to just kind of give a brief overview of what we did on Saturday and where we're moving forward. So on Saturday, the board met with a consultant of McPherson and Jacobson, who we hired to do the superintendent search. We discussed roles of stakeholders, the board, and the process moving forward, and a brief timeline. Stakeholder meetings are set to be held on April 25th. That same day, they have talked to us about doing an online survey. That will also open on the 25th. The survey will stay open through May 2nd. And we will push that survey everywhere we can think of, from Front Porch Forum, you can put it on Facebook pages, we'll put it out through the chamber and everyone else. And then after that, after the stakeholder groups and the survey closes, we'll meet with Judy. And she will give us feedback from the stakeholder groups all wrapped up, as well as the information on the survey. Now remember, the survey piece, she said, if anybody mentions names, the names will be redacted. And anybody uses any poor language, I guess is the best way to say it, that will be redacted. So other than that, we'll get everybody's comment. And there'll be 2 versions of comments. There will be an executive summary, which we will then share with the press and whatnot. And then the other one will be a much more in-depth that will not go to the press. And that will be for us. We had also agreed that the board was going to meet on May 14th, which is a Saturday. Because that's a long meeting, that's 9:1. The consultants are going to bring forward some videos of applicants for us to review, so that would be done in an executive session. And then we hope to bring candidates on site sometime during the week of May 23 to 27. The big lift, like I said, Joel emailed or texted me tonight saying we got our first. So he's excited. And the reason I emailed the board, was not really wanting to know where you all lived, and I'm not gonna convince anyone or anything. But I had to fill out one of their spreadsheets, and so one of their spreadsheets wanted to know who's on the board, where do they live, what are their phone numbers, how many years have they served on the board, what do they do for work, and I'm like, okay, I'm just filling out the spreadsheet. So I filled out the spreadsheet, sent it on, and that's the end of that spreadsheet. So I think that, the process will look different and it will feel different than other types of searches. But I think between the surveys and the stakeholders, we should be able to get a lot of information for people to move forward with. So that's why when we get that survey link, it's also going to be on us to spread it. Because if we don't spread it, we obviously aren't going to get anybody to fill it out. But they are keeping it open to May 2nd, so that we'll have pretty much a whole week of that survey being open.
Can you just share the list of stakeholder groups out loud? And those are gonna be Zoom gatherings of these stakeholder groups?
So there's teachers, staff, community, parents, students, and we combined a couple because we also have the business community, and we also had United Business. County administrators. Yeah.
Suzanne, I can't recall where they're posting that position. Brenda did have a question about.
So, I actually looked for it yesterday. I just, it was right there. So, yeah, on School Spring, yeah.
So they said they were putting it on School Spring, they said they were putting it on their website, the National Superintendents Association website, and then there was one other place that they were gonna put it. But
The other question that she raised was making sure that the information regarding your technical school background is addressed.
And I texted that to him, and he said he was gonna re-review it, but thought it was there. I haven't read it.
We expressed that.
We did express it. Just your email comment back from the criteria, I forwarded that whole thing right on to them. And they are playing around with the wording, trying to smooth it out so that, so they are very responsive to everything that we're sending them, and yeah, that's where we're at. So hang on to your seats, folks. It's gonna be a lot of work. On top of whatever Dana keeps sending us.
I can stop looking.
Well, I don't know, how did Ruth get my email address?
That wasn't me.
Gee, she did not really have to give me a heart attack.
Well, I mean, everybody has an email address for something. She knows one email, she calls also.
Well, yeah, the CLNA piece was just like a, oh!
That was the Ruth.
Ruth. Yeah, and then I got the other Ruth.
Ruth Durkee asked me for awards.
Oh.
So I had to give it back. Neither two.
So, unless anybody has comments or questions about reports, I don't even. Policy 4.1. You can just say the floor share was very bad last night, tonight.
This is a little long, but that was agenda building.
Thank goodness we're going to 2 meetings.
So does anybody want to take on 4.1? No. Okay. Do any of you want to take on 4.1, or are you okay with just letting it? The meeting was long, but good? Not so good? Informative, they tell me to use that, okay. Do we need the executive session for negotiations and personnel?
Hold on. I'm gonna say.
No, we don't.
Don't.
Okay. So.
I've got a meeting tomorrow, so.
Yeah, we don't need to.
Okay. So. May I have a motion to adjourn? Then move.
Second.
Seconded. Everybody want to agree, is there any discussion?
Thank you all very much for a lively meeting.
Thank you.
I think that was an all in favor, you're all in favor?
It's tough when you're here, because you can't eat or drink.